Want to do the show or no?
Uh-oh. By the time we actually get around to doing a show, I might forget
what?
everything I heard today.
What's that? Oh, this? Oh, the entrance to the show? Yeah. That's fine, whatever. I don't have to pay anybody. Good.
Nice.
And High Time We Talk. Welcome to High Time We Talk.
Nice.
All right, well, I guess we'll start up with that, this impromptu show during a prep.
No one meant to have a show today.
Nah, we didn't mean to
We all
have...
got colds.
We didn't mean to have a show, but... Nah, we owe the folks, man.
Hopefully the last show didn't go up. Well,
It didn't go up yet, but this might be part of it. We owe the folks. We fucked everybody by being bitter, mean motherfuckers. So...
what the fuck are you guys talking about?
The last time we tried to do a show.
What a depressive world.
But that just means you're telling the truth.
Nah, it doesn't have to be all bitter. What it means really is that we're dwelling on the bitter.
Yeah, right.
There are good things in this world. Yes, there are.
Are you out of your mind?
I am. But that doesn't...
Both of you guys fucking nuts.
That doesn't mean that.
You drink the Kool-Aid today?
No, you know what?
Well,
I sat outside in the woods. I saw little bunnies running around. I saw clouds, blue skies.
Yeah,
I heard a hawk
some
swoop
clouds.
down.
And the bees are dying, and everything else is dying. Then they're going to kill everything else. What the fuck is it? Why be happy about anything unless you want to have a show about how to be happy in the face of disaster?
You know, I got to tell you something. As we're sitting here talking, last night when we played the band that we all play in now, Sierra, I didn't want to leave.
I was happy
I
as
was
shit.
protected there. I felt good. The music surrounded me.
Yeah.
I really... putting those guitars down was hard for me.
You should have stuck around for a little longer.
Well, could have,
The
but
only
the PA
thing
left.
I will say about that is you should have hit my boy with "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" instead of "Long and Winding Road."
Okay?
You got to
What he felt
Think
like.
of simple songs that I can sing, so I
Yeah,
can
but
sing a few too.
you got to remember he's
gotta
my
be able-
kid and he comes from a different.
Yeah, well, you got to be able to play Long and Winding Road because it's
Especially
four
keyboard
chords.
player, you know.
Nah,
Four chords.
I survived my whole musical career without having to play it so
This is the
far.
way it is. Whoever's doing the singing, you just back them up.
Right.
You don't
I
say,
agree
don't
with
wanna
that.
do that.
I agree with that.
I played
If you wanna sing one,
songs
you
I
sing
like to play.
Are you kidding me? I've played Freebird every time he's ever played it, and I really don't like that song.
Oh, you haven't played it with us at all. We good versions we pulled off, I thought.
I just don't like
I like
this
that.
song.
We have some hang your nuts out of your short versions you probably never heard.
And the same thing when you always used to do Peaceful Easy Feeling. I never liked that song, but I still play it. I'm not a fan of soft music, yet I happily play it. There's nothing, I would never say, no, I won't play a song.
But that's all inconsequential to the feelings good music gives you. You know?
Yes.
When you're surrounded
And
by good musicians.
You know
playing
something?
good
I
stuff.
would say that I
It made me
suppose
feel
that's...
good. I didn't want to.
That's why I'm in a lighter mood than the last time we did a show. We had a good jam last
Yeah.
night.
But as we spoke of before, I mean, because me and Tony went over this the other day, they've destroyed the scene in the country with some of the best musicians probably out there in the modern world with nowhere to play. Not like it used to be where every other bar had live music. Now it's karaoke and sports bars. So
Actually,
you really don't get a chance to see any good players.
do you know what?
Except for the blues jams.
One of the positives of the digital music revolution is artists are now earning less royalties from recordings and forced to perform more live.
But it's not a positive for the artist, though.
Sure it is. You get more money performing live than you do.
If you, well, yeah, but what if you don't have the health to do it, and you all you can do is put out an album or what a CD?
Well, then that's assuming that's an older established artist who's making money off royalties. royalties anyway.
I'm not in that position to care because I don't have either way. I'm not doing nothing.
Hey, I made $150 in royalty payments over the course of the last 35 years I've been playing.
I don't know.
I made a
I don't have a hit song to have an opinion about. So.
whopping $150. Oh, you ain't getting shit.
All I'm basically saying.
You know how much you get as a performer if your song is on iTunes?
Royalties aren't that much different. It's the actual sales of the physical product that's different.
Right, and that's where you
there's
get
more
screwed.
royalties because there's more places for.
There's
people
more
to play.
venues.
The royalties were never huge unless you had some kind of you own the copyright to the song.
The mechanical royalties as the songwriter and
And then you
publisher.
sold it to a soap company, and of course the royalties from selling the physical album, the physical product, because you don't sell them like that anymore, 45s and LPs. So
Well,
you don't
actually-
make those royalties either.
Actually, you
So-
do. You sell it by the song, right?
You sell
And if
$1 a song to the ringtone companies, right? Is
Right.
that how you make money? Is that how
Right.
that's how they make money?
Right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Even YouTube, everything.
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 I
It's
don't
just
understand
tracking
that.
it down. It's just-
Right. Yeah.
It's just
There's
tracking it down. That's the new world. The new companies have to be able to track it down.
Right.
So there are new companies and everything's switching over, but it doesn't change the fact that people don't buy albums and CDs, so you don't make that money.
Right. But then again, doesn't that detract from your A&M Records and all those big boys that used to have that whole thing in their pocket?
Puts them out of business.
Are they out of business now? Pretty much. Capital Records.
They're still in
Closed
business, but they're down to skeleton crews.
Right.
And they're just hanging on
Kinda
to the
like the
name,
new print
trying to
newspaper.
switch over
They're-
and get their money from online.
they're forced to look at a new model of doing business.
So let's put it this way: without looking at that as a concept, I've always said this: it's not your biggest and strongest that survive; it's your most adaptable. So if there's another proof positive, we'll look at that. They're a huge, multi-billion-dollar international recording and marketing.
I don't know, the way I see it,
Skeleton crews, you say?
the way I see it, if those big companies that stick the artists for all those years are getting theirs now, good for them.
That's true. Yeah, the companies are all ready to fall over, but nobody's
Almost
letting
like
them
an
go
newspaper.
because who's going to let go of Capitol Records?
Right.
Who's going to let go of Warner? Although Warner's
Well, like
records
we
was
talked
sold.
about before, they take a Justin Bieber and they put millions of dollars into him to make him a multi-million-dollar touring and product. Say he's just he is the face of that now. That's why he's driving a Bentley or a Lamborghini worth $500,000. Yeah, I used to spread that out over a bunch of artists. Now they take
Now
the
it's just
center
a
point
couple
on one,
people, right.
a couple people, and now you've got. And if you look at what that does to persons, it must kill. Not only does it kill the industry in its own way and dumps down people for music, but it also kills the artist.
Man, I'm gonna hide the guitars when we do a show.
We'll never disappear.
See,
That road.
okay, I found what I was looking for, so that musical interlude passed us, although...
It's just a folk song. It sounds like
Although-
a jazz ballad.
Right.
It's
See, I have another theory, and I've told my son this, and maybe that's why he thinks like I do. There are some songs that should not be covered. I never included that one in it, but I did say nobody should do Let It Be or Hey Jude unless it's McCartney.
I think the only one that nobody should do is Hey Jude.
Let It
If
Be.
there's any of them, Let It Be. Everybody
Let It Be.
does Let It Be.
I know,
And
nobody
Let It Be is
should.
like Woody Guthrie writing, "This land is your land, this land is my land."
I completely disagree, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because I believe it doesn't come down to songs. It comes down to artists. Because you take a band, and this is a band that should never be covered, never play any of their songs. Pink Floyd. What can you do justice to any of that stuff? I mean, think about it.
And I
Huh?
suppose You know something? I suppose.
I thought it was more of an actual artistic experience.
They do everybody.
I suppose, though, that what you just said is my feeling behind Let It Be. The Beatles' recorded version of that song, in my mind anyways, in my opinion, is about as perfect as that song can get. I don't think anybody can improve upon it. It's not by any means my favorite rock song. I do think it's the best rock song ever written. The lyrics, the performance that they gave when they recorded it, the chemistry of the four individuals, everything combined makes it magical to a point where I don't think anybody should fuck with that.
70 was the last time we heard from them all together. 70, 80, 90. How many years ago was that?
43.
When we're still talking about him, he's playing. There's no other band that's going to live on in the future like this.
Right. And that's why I think that's
this is being
that's
recorded
one
for
of
posterity. This is true.
that's one of
There ain't
the
no band going to live on like that.
that's one of the very few songs.
Did he carve out?
Do you think Jimi Hendrix would have been Jimi Hendrix without the Beatles? I couldn't.
That guy was walking on a different cloud.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have had the.
Interdimensionally shifting back.
I
and
don't
forth to
think
bring
he
something
would have
here.
had the
He's doing
position
something.
to be able to
Wasn't
do
he?
that. My contention is that there were only.
Are you recording this?
Yes. My contention is that there was only 3 pivotal acts in the history of rock and roll.
This is a show.
And that would be Elvis Presley, the Beatles, and Jimi Hendrix. Those are the only 3 pivotal acts that actually made a difference. Without those 3, rock and roll history would be different. Without any of the others, it would still be the same. Granted, Bill Haley and Chuck Berry and Eddie Cochran and Carl Perkins were all, granted all those other people who preceded Elvis and who laid the ground for Elvis to walk on, Elvis made it possible. The Beatles made it possible. The only other one that you may put in there would be Dylan. Dylan changed it from all silly-ass love songs to songs with messages. He integrated the folk aspect of the message music into the rock song. Without Jimi Hendrix, there never would have been just straight rock.
There was a movement of energy in that time that could have been in our direction of where we were going altogether as society. Right?
I'm going to hide the guitars when we do the show.
Yeah.
It's going to make the listenability off.
It may take the show out, that's true. But I still want a copy of it. You know why? This is important. I want my kids to hear it.
Now, there is the thought, going along the lines where I know you're going, that if Jimi Hendrix were not in that situation, another person would have been Jimi Hendrix. You and I both know that the talent, in addition to the songwriting, the talent is something far greater than the individual
I
that
kind of look
possesses
at
it.
our cycle as almost a pendulum-y thing, or I like native would be circular, so to speak. So right now we're leaving one scenario, we're ending that, and we're going into that. It's very painful because I think we've had and it's been in our lifetime, so we couldn't notice it. If we lived 300 years, we'd go, oh my God, shit's getting bad. Even as they gave us cars and technology and rockets, we'd still be going. If we lived back then, when there was something else we had too, I guarantee you'd be shaking our head going, this ain't good. Where are we going with? Where is this going? Where's this headed? And that's where we're at. We're going headlong into.
So now you're talking more than music, though, now.
I'm talking, but music
segued us out of the music.
But music shaped it because if you think about it.
Do you think music shaped it,
Yes,
or
I do.
music
Yes.
commented on it?
No, I think it really did. I think the age of Aquarius wasn't just a statement. I think, and ages don't start like last week. It started now. We're into it. It starts years, sometimes decades, or a century. Yeah, before that. So you had what's that? 43 years ago. we're probably about crossing that lexicon. The next 50 years are going to finish it up. And then we'll be in the new age.
But see now this. Let's take
Aquarian age.
post-World War II, the beginnings of rock and roll, you know. Back to like Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, Carl Perkins.
You know
Johnny
the only
Cash.
reason why you can say all these names, and we all missed all the soul stuff, because that was great. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
But the only reason you can say all those things is because there wasn't big corporations and big things covering up like all their and shifting them out, putting somebody who's in there like they do now.
Oh no,
Because-
they did that. They did that with Pat Boone.
I
And
know,
Pat Boone would do all the black blues songs, whitewash them, and they'd sell them
Nowadays, like the computer, you have to listen to satellite radio as opposed to regular terrestrial radio. You will see satellite. The artists are incredible. They are. I gotta say, the best player. I used to think I was a good player. I don't even think that anymore. When I listen to these bands and stuff on satellite, I think, wow, I couldn't get in the top 1,000.
Yeah, well,
There's
that's
some hot bands.
that's where I found Delta
Playing all
Moon.
over the country. But you know what? I never hear them on terrestrial radio. Never.
No,
It's almost
that's
like,
where I found
just like
Delta
the
Moon.
news
I
is
never
in-
heard
people
about
getting
it.
off the subject of music. But back to music. I mean, so
No,
with that being said, I do believe we are in an age, and will it eventually pop and get it where other? Yes, I think so. But there's some bad stuff stopping it right now, just like the Vietnam War and shit. But people marching, things will probably have their chance.
But see now,
That's why I don't think it's all bad. You know what I
my
mean? There's
point
some good
was-
stuff. You gotta
was
dig
the
like a
re-
fucking dog for a bone.
was the rebellion
the
of
good
that
stuff.
early rock and roll a reflection of what was happening in society at the time?
Right.
Or did it cause that to happen?
I like that. See, that's really rock and roll stuff.
Yeah, Sun Record stuff. So was that a reflection of the society being... Excuse me, folks.
Skis.
Was that a reflection of the society being, what do I want to say, in turmoil post-World War II and the rebuilding, and the music reflected that with the teenage angst and the high energy, or did that create the teenage angst and the high energy and the rebellious teenager that eventually morphed into the beatniks and then the hippies?
I think maybe the latter, because that's when motorcycle rider people started after like World War II in like groups. Like that's how Darley did.
Yes, but
it was all World War II vets that were fed up with what they actually saw going on out there. Like my father,
Right, so it wasn't...
my father told me some stuff about World War II that didn't fit what I heard from people who read.
So
And
it
he was
wasn't,
in it, you know,
it
so-
wasn't the music that created it. It was them being unhappy with the social situation, and the music reflected it.
Right. You know the Jeepster. Is that Jeepster? Sounds like Jeepster.
No.
Baby, I'm a Jeepster. That's alright, Mom.
That was the same thing.
That's alright, Mama. Any way you do, that's alright. That's alright. That's alright now, Mama. Any way you do. Mama, she done told, Robin done told me to. So I'm not getting food and bread. She ain't nothing for you. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright now, Mama. Any way you do. That's alright, Mama.
Not supposed to do that on the show. This is talk.
This
Talk.
This is good. This is a good
This is
show.
entertainment.
It has to be good.
Enter motherfucking
Oh,
tainment.
now my grandkids can't listen.
Oh, I didn't say fuck. We're 22 minutes into the show. I didn't say fuck once, and I never said cunt in the last 3 shows. All right? So I got some making up to do. Oh, you got some explaining to do. No, but see, we were on a good point in that they always knew Kim during the show. Yeah, go back to the old rockabilly or some blues or something. Just for the record, that was neither rockabilly nor blues. You know, Steve always, every time we do a show, he always gets nuked with a phone call. He's going to get fucking brain cancer.
Did you put on pause or no?
No, I didn't pause shit. There ain't no pause in digital recordings. You know what I want to...
You know, are we going to stay on music? 'Cause it's a good subject. We never do music.
Yeah,
really never.
I know. I always try and get us to do music, and we always start talking about fucking power.
And I think, guess what? You know what?
Before you know,
we bottomed out last show, and the only way to come back is with music. Bottomed out. Our show.
Us.
I mean, I literally, you know what? Guess
our
what?
attitude.
I don't know if you put that up. You should put that up for everybody to get mad about.
I might do these.
Mad.
I might do these in two separate shows. I don't know.
First, put that up. If we don't lose everyone. I'm gonna listen to the music show.
We ain't gonna lose everybody. They love us.
But
they
then
love
we used to have 37 Jamaicans.
Yeah, now we go up to 500. No, they were South Africans.
South Africans.
Now we're up to 516.
Mostly South Africans.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. If I knew how to promote shit better on Spreaker, we could be in the thousands.
I don't know.
I'll start putting it up on YouTube.
What the hell is a lion doing?
Yeah. You know what?
What? What jungle? There's a jungle out there? There's a
You know
mighty
what?
jungle.
You know what song I want to get you to do now that we're doing some electric stuff again? Would you care to hear it?
Well, yes.
It's a song you know well.
Listen to the mighty jungle.
If I hear this song another time in my life, I'll puke.
Well, we're getting ready. We're going to hear it one more time.
I got 4 versions.
I'm holding back.
In the jungle, quiet jungle, the lions sleep tonight. Remember, I used to be wedding videographer. I had to suffer through all this stuff. That's why I was happy when he was doing this stuff with his other organization, to hear them do I Fought the Law.
What the hell is that?
Okay, that's probably the most important song
In the world. In the jungle.
In the
Animals like it the best.
yeah, probably is. It's probably the most important song of all songs.
Elvis did it.
I don't know, did he?
In his bedroom at night with no one.
No, if you want to go that way, actually, I've argued with drummers about this because I always said they're wrong, but you kind of got to agree.
First, before you say anything, let's preface this by saying Mr. Popo is one of the premier musicologists and archivists and history buffs that I know. He's got music dating back to the late 1800s to the present time, from blues, jazz, rock.
But
Go ahead, Mr. Popo.
I've argued with,
It's true.
especially, remember TJ? The guy, TJ the DJ?
Yes.
The guy, come on, the guy who played Jam Through a Nuclear War in a strip bar. One of the biggest thrills of my life, to walk into a strip bar. The DJ doesn't know we're there, and we hear our own song with 7 women getting naked to it, blasting over the house speakers.
It was impressive.
At concert volume. And they didn't know we were there, and no one in the place knew that we were responsible for the song.
But to see Pale Shakespeare lead.
Yes, that was almost a bigger thrill than the first time having heard something on the radio. Now, I've heard it said
knows it all. He's been
the foundation of the whole rock and roll beat is based off Let's Go to the Hop.
What?
The kick snare of...
No, but Tom, why the Mighty Jungle? Like, let's have a debate about this. I'll be the monitor. Back to you, Mr. T.
Now, keep in mind...
this guy was Axeman.
I know, but he's Axeman.
All right.
But...
Nice Axeman.
I'm taking
anyway,
I'm taking a different...
Why would you say?
I'm taking the opposite position, but bear in mind, I do like the song.
Why would Mighty Jungle be the
child.
premier song of importance in our day, our age?
Well, it's a very old song from Africa. It's hundreds of years old. It really represents the essential structure of modern songwriting.
Goes that now. That's interesting. What's the part? Is it just the drumming?
You know, it's the chord progression.
So it's a 4 or 5.
But keep in mind that...
Wait. Let's see what he's good. G, C, G, D again. That's the whole. Okay. So it almost sounds tribal what you're saying the Owimu way.
Right.
The chord structure actually makes modern music.
But I would say,
Okay, your turn.
and I would put to you, the chord structure was added far after the lyrical content. They weren't married together
names.
originally.
The names of the chords were added. But the chords were added.
You mean the note was there? The vibration of that
because-
note was there.
Our name for it, G, C, D.
Oh, you mean we already sang and
No, they already sang.
Or hummed in those?
Sang.
Or
To get the... Okay.
chanted would be a better
Okay, I
word,
will-
right?
No, I
They
will
sang.
take that. I will take that, Mr. Axeman, that the vocally, what I'm saying is the guitar part basically didn't come around until later on.
They were singing the same
But,
chords.
okay, that I will agree.
They were singing 1-4-5. They
Yeah.
were singing 1-4-5 in Africa 300 years ago. And that's
And-
the basis for all the doo-wop music.
The
50s
basis for
music,
everything. Rock and roll, rock, country music,
Everything about
everything.
popular songwriting is based on that concept.
That I will agree upon. That I will agree
Okay,
upon.
back to you, Mr.
I don't know as that was necessarily the song that started it all, but his point is spot on in that
It's the one
With-
that became the number one
without that stuff,
Structure. is what you're talking
without the
about.
structure,
history,
History and structure.
tradition.
Tradition.
I
So-
think even more than that, what it did was ingrain a basic feel in mankind and empathy for those notes. That when you hear that progression or those combination of notes together, it just feels good to you. It feels right. It creates music.
Well, I don't
I think-
know of another example of a song that's hundreds of years old that's still sung in the same lyrics, basically translated into another language, that became the number one top 40 song.
Yeah, and
So
that may be
rose
very
from
well.
there
That,
to there, and for that reason, it's not the only song, but for that, because every song
yeah.
that they
So what
pick,
you're saying is it basically
It's
that
just the
song
one.
typifies what
It's-
we're talking about.
it's the one that
Yeah, it's a shining
went
example
from
of
there
it.
to the hit parade.
Right, so it's
Over the course of hundreds of years, it became a song basically intact, just with modern instruments.
Yep.
But basically intact. So I can't think of an example of another song that's done.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't either.
And one that is so core to the structure of
Right.
modern songwriting, especially rhythm and blues, and following doo-wop and rock and roll and top 40 and everything after the jazz age. And even...
Oh, man, you're going back. I mean, because you can go back to guys like Charlie Patton and Son House, and, well, yeah, that's where they got it from.
That's where they got it from.
You know, the guys who created the music, that created the blues guys, that created rock and roll.
So 145 is what they heard anyway, before they picked up a guitar or knew anything about Western European language.
So they heard that 145, and that's where the origins are.
Right, they heard the 145.
That's why they're in tribal. That's why they're in, like, slavery of our country. It was brought over.
Yeah, because if you look at it at that point, and I'd say, you know something? You were generous with 300 years. Got to go back farther.
Yeah, probably farther.
Yeah.
But, you know, almost like, this may be a debate about two different types of apples and two different barrels. Because if you're talking about, seriously, the most important song, you know, I mean, you could really, of our age, could be that because of its, what it led to later. But with what you're talking about, was that would have never come about had this not come over and made it from around the world to the, you know.
Right, because it's the one that did it.
Yeah.
I give it that title or perspective, because it just happens to be the one that actually did it. So there must be a reason why.
So who did that song anyway?
The Tokens got a hit. They were the ones that all hit it.
The Tokens, then there was that Giorgio Moroder or something
Who was
in
the
like
writer?
the 70s.
Well, nobody knows.
I don't know.
One of those,
Because it's so
yeah. What do they call those?
I'll Google it and
Traditionals or-
somebody stole it.
I'll Google it and
Somebody
see
grabbed
who
the
claims
copyright
it.
off it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made money off it for
You
years.
know, a lot of times when it comes back to some old guy living in a shack in 1898 playing like a one-string thing off the side of the building. You know what I mean?
Written and recorded by Solomon Linda. Bear in mind, this is the Wikipedia entry, and Pee-Pee Wickedez.
Well, what year was it done?
Recorded by Solomon Linda with the Evening Birds for the South African Gallo Record Company in 1939. Covered by the Weavers, Jimmy Dorsey, Max Suma, Miriam Makeba, and the Kingston Trio. Became number one for the Tokens in 61. Went on to earn at least $15 million in licensing and film royalties and what have you. Says it was written in the 20s. But see, I got to go back to what he says. This is the guy that claims to have written the song. What he did was he just channeled something that had been the tribal kind of, you know,
And that's a South
in-ground
African record company or something.
Yeah, the guy was from South Africa.
Right. So you...
a tribal song.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right, because that's what he did.
Right.
And then he incorporated it into a chord structure, whether it was
And it
keyboard,
just kept hard. It just lived.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
His improvised melody was wordless. No English words occur in the recording issued by Gallo as a 78 and 39. Mbube it was originally
There were
called.
no words to it?
Wait a minute.
What is that? The movie put them words in it? In the jungle thing?
The guy became a hit and a star by 48, sold 100,000 copies. Alan Lomax brought the 78 recording to the attention of his friend Pete Seeger and the Weavers. So the Weavers added the English vocals to it.
Oh, really? They put the jungle stuff in.
They called it Weemaway, a mishearing of the original song's chorus of Uyembube. which means in Zulu you are the lion.
We're going back to the origins, really, of modern day music. But something
That's
missing.
certainly
like Beethoven, Bach, and all that stuff. That's just, is that another realm? That's
But
just,
see,
that didn't get affected by any of this.
This just tells about the
That
songs.
wasn't anything to structurally do with what happened. That was its own thing, right? It was its own era,
this
right?
just tells.
See, is rap like that now? Street rap? Is that more its own thing? Because that doesn't seem to follow the paradigm either.
It did,
Does
though. It did.
Does it?
does.
I'm just asking. I don't know. I mean, the modern day sound of today, most of the inner city sound that they have, is it based off of that stuff? If you will, that whatever they're saying there almost does have a chant or almost a scent.
Yes, but the modern day rap is this sort of thing as diluted through 200 years of America. You know what I mean? If you take a blender,
the America filter, right?
Yeah, if you take a big blender and call it 200 years of America, or what are we at now? 237, I think.
Yeah.
If you have that blender, 237 years of America, and you take this tribal cultural thing and drop it into that blender, at this current point, you got this. If you had 197 years of America, we'll put you back in 1973, you would have got a different result spit out in the form of like the Stevie Wonder, Sly Family.
I mean, you would
Stone.
have got great soul and Motown and rhythm and blues and stuff, right? I mean, from that era, the late 60s to the 70s. Unbelievable time for that, you know?
Yeah, but you know,
spinning out the same thing, right? Just another.
There's also a good argument to be made, and you know I don't like or listen to rap. There's also a good argument to be made that now, under less freedoms, under less restrictions of race, the artists feel more free to make the type of music that they want to make without having to worry to sell to the white audience and the white establishment. And instead of making a more palatable soul and Motown, they're going more edgy. Maybe that's why it doesn't appeal to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old fart stick in the mud son of a bitch who likes the old stuff. Or who likes things that are based in older, more rootsy sounds. I don't happen to like the urban filter on a lot of things. The exception being...
You actually did probably one of my favorite rap songs that you had me play guitar.
Yeah.
That's probably almost my favorite rap song.
You know
that one rap song, what was it called? The Kevorkian, right?
Yeah, the rap version of Do the Kevorkian.
Yeah. It was a rap version, and he rapped it out. It was good. And I get to put like Van Halen guitar on it.
Yeah, but you remember too what happened. I had to have somebody else do the scratch vocal and sing to that. That's totally not my style. But now it brings me back to something. Now that we're playing electric, I kind of have a request. While this wouldn't be the very first song I would want to play off this record for me, it would be the very first song I would want to play off this record for you.
Oh, you want to do this song?
Yes, you know, if it were me, I would want to protect the But I always remember how much fun you had playing this song.
Oh, live?
Yeah.
Sitting on the mountain, watching you fly. As I look to the valley below, I wonder in my mind.
torrent and found protecting rock and roll, jammed through a nuclear war, one of them sites.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave the music up in the interest of the show and its brevity. That was something I meant to bring up.
It's a good song.
It was a good song. All right. Being as I'm going to keep a little bit of all this in, let me tell you a funny story about Cosmic Man. We had jammed it out and played it for a good amount, actually, and it only had 2 verses, right? So Steve was going in that night to do the lead vocals for Connecticut River and Cosmic Man. And he walks in, and Connecticut River was well established, so he knew exactly how he was going to sing it and do it and all that. He walks in to do the lead vocal track for Connecticut River, and as he's walking out the door to the room, turns around, flips a stack of papers to me, and says, Cosmic Man needs a 3rd verse, write it, and I'll sing it when I come back. So here I am sitting there trying to supervise the recording and at the same time trying to write a verse to the song. I wrote it.
You wrote it. You got it. And it worked out good. It seemed to blend okay. I can't even remember what you wrote. For the life.
It's the Take Us Back to Get Ahead one.
Oh, that's a good verse. Yeah, I wouldn't have known you wrote it. That's, being the historian. But
So, just lest both our listeners and Tony think that Protectin' Rock and Roll was all New England and the Eagles song. This is what else it was.
Crank this up.
And that, you notice, that kind of brings us back to the reason I said I want to do the Eagles song for you, for your liking. But also think of the instrumentation and the players. That wouldn't be outside of Finn's realm. It would sound lovely with a flute in the song.
So you've wanted to do this show for years.
The music show. The music show.
At the end of our career.
It ain't the end. The world ain't over. The country ain't over. Nothing ain't over.
We've certainly increased our attitude from the last time we've spoken with us. But this was a really informative day, night. It was great. You know what? I learned today.
Music soothes the savage beast. That's all I can say.
That's a history lesson there. Music history lesson. That should be studied in music class, I'm sure. Hopefully.
Well, see, there is. I mean, that's like the root to the blues that influenced rock and roll, that influenced, that brought all the generations on. That's All Right Mama was Elvis's first song. That was a bluesman song. That bluesman was influenced by a previous generation of bluesmen, by a previous generation of bluesmen, by the tribal chants in Africa, by the 1-4-5. That pattern came to modern music through the traditional blues shuffles. And like I said, that's ingrained in us now.
So that's why they named it rock music, because mostly likely the first people who were inventing it were playing on rocks.
Well, with bones.
With bones.
Bones in their noses, say.
Rocks and bones. The rolling bones.
We was rocking and boning. And see, that too would bring up a whole nother side tangent, though, if you want to get intelligent about music.
Yeah.
It's been said that rock and roll was really the birth of country and the blues. Guys like Elvis, Carl Perkins, Buddy Holly had both influences. I, for years, have said that country music is the only indigenous American music. What do you think about that? Country music. That's the only one that's indigenous to America.
Right, because blues really would have come out of Africa.
Right.
And what else was there? Married what?
Jazz came out of blues.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was country and rock and roll that.
Yeah, so you really had Africa getting married.
Or country and blues. Yeah.
That's what happened. It was a wedding. And we got all invited, and actually at the wedding we learned how to play. You guys go to the reception?
All that early Johnny Cash stuff was considered radical as far as country. He was considered more of a rockabilly guy. Right there with Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis. That's who he toured with, was all those Chess Records or Sun Records guys, rather.
Johnny Cash just kind of walked through country until they didn't like him anymore. And then, just like other artists walked through things like Willie Nelson never knew really where to put him.
And see, that being said, then don't we go back to Hank Williams Sr. being the first real rock star? The bad boy that went against the Grand Ole Opry until they finally begged him to play there. He was so huge. Died at 29 from alcohol and pills in the backseat of a car. Beat Morrison, Hendrix, and Joplin to that punch.
Country music is just white music, and blues music is black music, and they are still...
They're not different anymore, though.
Well, yeah, they are.
They're not different, no. Since the Muddy Waters had it great. The blues had a baby, and they named it rock and roll.
Yeah, but we're not talking about blues and rock and roll. We're talking about country and blues.
But country and blues are what came... Country and blues are what came... Yeah, and they came together to form rock and roll.
So,
in the form of like an Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly.
And all the different styles that were created by those two styles of music pushing up against each other. Created all these different genres.
All of them were born from it, right? From your Motown, your rhythm, blues, so all that stuff too. Everything.
Yeah.
Because it was still born out of that top one that laid the first egg, which was the In the Jungle song.
Right.
Well, and it plopped into those two.
It's just an example. It's just a song.
I know.
It's not the song.
Well, see, right. But it typifies what that
and it
was.
Made it the farthest
its contribution.
Made it the farthest track.
Right.
But now to say that, couldn't it be said that the Western country music really came from the Appalachian music, which has its roots in like the Irish and English, Celtic sounds, so maybe country maybe there is no indigenous American form of music, except rock and roll, which was the amalgamation
It certainly
of the
wasn't-
different world cultures,
African
which is exactly what America
It wasn't
is.
European music. The indigenous form of music was Native American music. And that's probably got a history of 500,000 years.
Well, yeah, but we,
Also, I'm not sure that might follow that same paradigm as the Africans' lifestyle.
and don't you think though that
I
some,
don't know. I'm just speculating
No.
now, but I don't know.
Well,
and don't you think
It's
though
related,
that,
but
Probably
it's different.
related.
It's different.
but don't you think that the Native American music was what kind of melded with the Celtic stuff and the English traditional stuff to create that unique American country sound? They took the rhythms that they were hearing at night from their neighbors that they were
That's
slaughtering by the day.
Well, all right,
And-
so now we lead us to New Orleans. Because all of this happened in New Orleans.
Wow, look at New Orleans was the big seaport. That's where all the cultures blended first.
The French, in the Spanish, generally, Italians later on.
for cotton.
So Spanish music,
That's in Africa.
Spanish music had flamenco and all that, and French music had classical music, and the Spanish had classical music. And that melded with the black African
And again-
slave music and the Indians, because the French hooked up with the Indians. And that's where you have the Cajun music.
Yep. I was
And the
just going
Spanish
to say.
had-
Now look at what you're saying. The music and the culture flow exactly. That blending of all those created the unique Creole culture and the Cajun music sound. So the music and society parallel.
Out west, when the settlers went across the west, they played guitars and banjos. They had music from, British.
Yeah, it originally came from
And the Native American music had some influence on the way they wrote
the way
their
that
music.
the way that English style, European style music translated.
And Native Americans later on played songs that were so it has.
And I would-
The Western Indians have an influence on folk music
Folk and country.
and country to some degree. Yeah.
That's what made that English stuff
Huge.
meld into the country sound.
But now
They went from doing songs like Handsome Molly to Out on the Lone Prairie.
it did.
The
Well,
stuff
it did.
morphed like that. It's a good song as far as an old folk song, and
More later.
coincidentally enough, it was written by a black slave. But Goodnight Irene. Goodnight Irene has elements of both. It has its country sound, but the melody's kind of rooted in that Celtic
Night
feel.
Irene, written by Buddy Ledbetter.
Yeah. Sang himself out of prison 3 times.
Known as being a blues singer, but really is a country folk.
Oh, he did everything. He would cover songs that were popular, everything. Goodnight Irene seems a fitting close for a music show, doesn't it? I think everybody's hungry. Should we say a quick goodbye before we talk more? No. Yeah, this is a standalone show on its own. What?
This was really like in the old days. We would have sit on the porch telling our friends and neighbors and kids gathered around about our culture and our history and everything. And that's how it went then. But now it's the new days, and we're doing this on a file in a computer. You got to press a button, but it's still the same thing. Teaching you about your history and our culture, because when you look around, you know, it's fading by the day. So we want to make sure we catalog it.
And if what we just documented it as culture and music running, so I think they reflect each other. It's a synergy. Then all one needs to do is listen to the modern music to find the vapid soul of today's culture. The music is soul.
It's reflective, without a doubt.
It's reflective.
It doesn't write it, but it reflects it, really. It's almost like a cause reaction. If something hits you in the leg, you go, ow. You know, if something hits you in the heart and it vibrates out there through the music.
If you're doing
and
bad,
the poets and the artists, all the people.
If you're doing bad,
artists
and people see you're doing bad, and they tell you you're bad, you get worse. It's the same thing.
But there were at times Mozart, Beethoven, John Lennon, people who changed the direction of culture by the way they came out and the message they brought, or, you know. So it all goes back to one thing. Your leaders are your most important things. If they're moral in their code as well, and they care for the people as a whole, the culture gets better. If they're not, it's the other way around. It kind of goes the way it's going today.
Yeah. That's what I say. When your culture is morally bankrupt, so is your music. You know I haven't stopped yet, right?
No.
So with that, we hope we're a little more upbeat than the last go-round.
I got this show, but the party ain't over yet, right?
We'll prep our way on to the next one. Y'all have a good one. See ya.
Bye.
Anyway, I guess this is the end of It's High Time We Talked. And,
Yeah, I'm hungry.
We'll see you next show. Have a nice day.
Whenever.
Play our outro song here. This is where the
Okay.
outro song goes.
Well, what are we going to put?
I don't know yet.